Yes, Prabhu, we can start.
Hare Krishna. Welcome to the ISKCON Portland Sunday morning Srimad Bhagavatam class. Thank you for giving me this chance to read Srimad Bhagavatam and try to speak something about it. We will get started with Mangalacharan prayers. Let me pull that up. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरुः श्रीयुतः पदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवास आदि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। We'll recite the invocation verses for Srimad Bhagavatam. Our obeisances to Shri Parikshit Maharaj, Shri Shukadev Goswami, and Shri Suta Goswami and Shaunakadi Rishis. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Narang Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shlokir Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. We'll go to today's verse. Is my screen visible?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. So this is verse number Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 15, verse number 37. So this is in the chapter called The Pandavas. The Pandavas retire timely. So this is about the retirement time for the Pandavas after the departure of Sri Krishna. And Yudhishthir Maharaj is contemplating to retire from his worldly duties. And he he's giving several reasons for it. And one of the reasons is discussed in this verse today. So let's recite the verse and then we will discuss the details. So the meter is Indra Vajra or Upendra Vajra to be more precise, because the first syllable is a small syllable, U, U, V, and A. So I always have difficulty in getting the tune right. So Yudhishthirastat parisarpanam buddhaha pure ch rashtre ch grihe tathatmani vibhavya lobha nritajim himsanad adharma chakram gamanaya paryadhat. I'll recite it a couple of more times and I'll request devotees to also try. Yudhishthirastat parisarpanam buddhaha pure ch rashtre ch grihe tathatmani vibhavya lobha nritajim himsanad adharma chakram gamanaya paryadhat. Yudhishthirastat parisarpanam buddha pure cha rashtre cha grihe tathatmani vibhavya lobha nritajim himsanad adharma chakram gamanaya paryadhat. Devotees would like to try, or should I recite it a couple of more times?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I can try. Yudhishthirastat parisharpanam buddhaha pure ch rashtre ch grihe tatatmani vibhavya lobantra jihma himsanad adharma chakram gamanaya paryadat. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu.
Very nicely recited. Thank you.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. I can give it a try. Yudhishthirastat parisharpanam buddha pure cha rashtre cha grihe tadatmani vibhavya loban ritaje mahimsanad adharma chakram gamanaya paryadat. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Wonderful. Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna Prabhu. I'll also try.
Yeah.
Yudhishthirastat parisarpanam buddhaha pure cha rashtre cha gruhe tatatmani vibhavya lobhan rudajimnasim himsana dadharma chakram gamanaya pardhat. Paryadat.
Thank you, ma'am. Wonderful.
Prabhu, I would also like to say. Yudhishthirastat parisarpanam budam pure cha rashtre cha grihe tatatmani vibhavya lobhan trajahma himsanad अधर्मचक्रं गमनाय पर्यदात्. Krishna, thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you.
Hello, Try. युधिष्ठिरस्तत्परिसर्पणं बुधः पुरे च राष्ट्रे च गृहे तथात्मनि विभाव्य लोभानृतजिह्महिंसनात् अधर्मचक्रं गमनाय पर्यदात्.
I can also try Prabhu quickly. युधिष्ठिरस्तत्परिसर्पणं बुधः पुरे च राष्ट्रे च गृहे तथात्मनि विभाय लोभान्निर्तजेहमहिंसनाद्य अधर्मचक्रं गमनाय पर्यदात्.
Very nice. All right. I think anyone else? Okay, we got everyone. Thank you. So, what is going on here? So let's read the word-by-word translation or the synonyms and then the translation, and then we'll see where we are. Yudhishthiraha, Maharaj Yudhishthir, tat that parisarpanam, expansion. So I was looking up, I was intrigued by this word parisarpanam. So there is I went into a little bit of research of this word. Sarpanam is a snake. So expansion is the right translation in the context, but a snake kind of goes like this, like, in a wavy fashion, and keeps moving around all over the area, trying to explore where it can get some prey or where it can get something to take shelter or something. So it's basically trying to enter into various places and explore and, trying to infect, so to say, or trying to find prey everywhere. And we will see here that this is referring like to the movement of Kali, how Kali is moving around the planet and trying to, expand its influence everywhere. It doesn't matter if it's in this direction or this direction. Any direction is good for Kali if it can expand its influence. So that was like the understanding of the word parisarpanam. So anyway, we'll keep going. So parisarpanam, expansion. Buddha, thoroughly experienced. Pure, in the capital. Cha, as also. Rashtre, in the state. Cha, and. Grihe, at home. Tatha, as also. Atmani, in person. Vibhavya, observing. Lobha, avarice. Anrita, untruth. Jihma, diplomacy. Himsana, adi, violence, envy, etc., and so many other bad qualities, adi. Adharma, irreligion. Chakram, a vicious circle. Gamanaya, for departure. Paryadhat, dressed himself accordingly. Translation. Maharaj Yudhishthir was intelligent enough to understand the influence of the age of Kali, characterized by increasing avarice, falsehood, cheating, and violence throughout the capital, state, home, and among individuals. So he wisely prepared himself to leave home and he dressed accordingly. So that's the translation by His Divine Grace, Abhay Charna Arvind Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. All right, so what's going on here? Yudhishthiraha tat parisarpanam buddhaha. So as you all know, this chapter is for the Pandavas to retire timely, and Maharaj Yudhishthir is contemplating on the various reasons to retire. And Buddha, he's very intelligent. I'll scroll up here. Buddha, he's very intelligent, and he is seeing Tat. Tat means Kali Yuga or Kali, and in the previous verses it has been described. So this Tat is referring to Kali. So Yudhishthira Tat Parisarpanam. And this Kali is moving like a snake everywhere, like I just explained, trying to expand its influence throughout the region. Throughout which region, which parts of the region? That's the next line. Pure. Pure means in the city, like Mathura Puri, Dwarka Puri, we say. So Hastinapuri or Hastinapura, things like, or cities. So he's the emperor and his capital is Hastinapur. So in the Pure, which means in a city, Rashtre in the country or state, Grihe in the homes, and Tatha and Atmani, and even in the minds and hearts of the people. So everywhere this snake, Parisarpanam, is moving around and trying to expand its reach everywhere. And what does it mean, expand its reach everywhere? It's going and spilling or spouting its poison everywhere. That is Vibhaya. So it's he's observing, Yudhishthira Maharaj is observing that what kind of poison is spewing everywhere? Lobha. We all know Lobha, avarice, or the more sort of easier word is greed. Anrita. Anrita means untruth or lies. Jihma means cheating or diplomacy, but really it's cheating. Diplomacy is just a glorified word for cheating, and here you can see directly Srila Prabhupada is saying cheating. And himsa, himsana, so violence, adi, etc. So it's not just limited to lobha, anrita, jihma, himsa. Adi means and all the bad qualities, and here he has included one more, envy and so on. And not only this, he's saying this whole thing is a adharma chakra, the web or a wheel, or a web is probably, I thought, a more, represents it better, the feeling, the web of adharma, which is capturing or tightening its grip on gamanaya, on the people. And looking at all this, Yudhishthira Maharaj decided to gamanaya, to just quit. Not quit as like a quitter, but just leave all this. And it's just such a painful situation to see that he does not want to witness this painful situation of the planet, which he is the emperor of. And so he just wants to leave. And we will see in one of the commentaries, I think in Sri Jiva Goswami's commentary, he puts it very nicely, that even though this verse is saying that he is leaving due to the effects of Kali Yuga, really the reason why he wants to leave is to focus his mind on Sri Krishna and be with Sri Krishna. So it's not more the push of the ill effects of Kali Yuga in his heart that he decides to leave, but it's the pull towards Sri Krishna that he decides to leave. Anyway, so Gamanaya Paryadhat, and he took on the dress accordingly. So he dressed accordingly to get ready for leaving. Now, this dress accordingly is a metaphor. It's not that he is beginning to dress accordingly right now, and this has been used at many places, where it means he began to make preparations accordingly. So this is a metaphor, paryadhat. The direct meaning is to dress accordingly. That is the direct meaning. So there's nothing wrong here that it is in the verse. Sri Shukadev Goswami is not using the, but the metaphorical meaning is to get ready. And if you see in the chapter here, 37, now after this, he actually, we can see that he begins to make preparations. And the first thing is, the king can't just leave. Like, you can't just, you have to have a successor.
Am I late?
Sorry.
What time?
Successor. Yudhishthir Maharaj has to, he's the emperor of the entire planet, and he can't just leave. And so he appoints his grandson, because Abhimanyu and that generation is gone. So Parikshit Maharaj is the grandson, Arjuna or Uttara's son. So he enthrones him, and Vajranabh as Mathura and the king of at Mathura, and so on. And then we'll see his actual changing of clothes. He relinquished all his garments, belts, ornaments, basically his official attire. Also he relinquishes, and then somewhere it's there that he actually put on a very like a, where does it say? There was something about the dress. I was reading that he put on actually a dress. Yeah, torn clothing. After that, Maharaj Yudhishthir dressed himself in torn clothing, gave up all eating all solid foods, voluntarily became dumb, let his hair hang loose. So he then takes up that attire to go away from the life of a king and kind of like start the life of a mendicant. So that comes later, and we'll go over it in the future weeks. But I just wanted to point out here that this word paryadhat, and the meaning of the word paryadhat is to dress accordingly. But it's a metaphorical meaning, and it means that he began to make preparations to retire. So that's the sort of the line-by-line understanding, that on seeing the expansion of the influence of Kali, tat parisarpanam, because Maharaj Yudhishthira is very intelligent, very wise, very smart, and he saw this influence increasing everywhere. There's no place left, just like a snake, it will enter even in a small hole or a small crack, it can enter. So the snake is entering at every place. There's no place that is left or is not reachable by this snake, which is Pure, city, Rashtra, Grihe, Tatha Atmani, and even in the hearts of people. And he was observed all these bad qualities: lobha, greed, lies, cheating, violence, etc., and the entire web of adharma. And seeing all this, he got so disgusted that he wanted to just leave. So gamanaya paryadhat, he began to get ready to leave. So that is the meaning of this verse. Purport. Let's discuss the purport by His Divine Grace, Abhay Charnarvind Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada has made some very nice points. And I was reading the other commentaries as I try to do. And Srila Prabhupada's purport, I just want to say, is the most comprehensive and covers so many nice points that it's one of the best commentaries among all the previous Acharya commentaries. So I really relished reading this purport and meditating or trying to think of some nice points, etc. So this is a very nice purport, and Srila Prabhupada has done so much thinking on this verse. Otherwise, this seems like a fairly straightforward verse, write 2-3 lines and move forward. But a very nice and instructive purport has been written by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. One second. The present age is influenced by the specific. Can you still see my screen? Something is going on.
We can see, Prabhu.
Okay. Either my mouse is out of battery or it's not scrolling properly. Hold on. The present age is influenced by the specific qualities of Kali. Since the days of the battle of Kurukshetra, about 5,000 years ago, the influence of the age of Kali began manifesting. And from authentic scriptures, it is learned that the age of Kali is still to run on for 427,000 years. The symptoms of Kali Yuga, as mentioned above, namely avarice, falsehood, diplomacy, cheating, nepotism, violence, and all such things are already in vogue. And no one can imagine what is going to happen gradually with further increase of the influence of Kali till the day of annihilation. So in the next 400,000 years. We have already come to know that the influence of the age of Kali is meant for godless, so-called civilized man. Those who are under the protection of the Lord have nothing to fear from this horrible age. Maharaj Yudhishthir was a great devotee of the Lord, and there was no necessity of his being afraid of the age of Kali. And here we can see Srila Prabhupada echoing the point made by Sri Jiva Goswami, which I already just mentioned. He just has a one-line purport, Jiva Goswami, but that one-line purport is captured here by Srila Prabhupada in this line, that Maharaj Yudhishthir was a great devotee of the Lord and there was no necessity of his being afraid of the age of Kali. So that's, even though from the verse it appears that that's the reason why he wants to retire, that's not the reason. The real reason is he preferred to retire from active household life and prepare himself to go back home, back to Godhead, because he loved Krishna so much. So that's covers that part. The Pandavas are eternal companions of the Lord, and therefore they are more interested in the company of the Lord than anything else. Yep, this line also echoes the same point more directly, that they are the eternal companions, the topmost devotees of Bhagavan, and their interest is to be with Bhagavan rather than to try and manage this place which is infected with Kali Yuga. Besides that, being an ideal king, Maharaj Yudhishthir wanted to retire just to set an example for others. As soon as there is some young fellow to look after the household affairs, and in this case, that person being Parikshit Maharaj, one should at once retire from family life to uplift oneself to spiritual realization. One should not rot in the dark well of household life till one is dragged out by the will of Yamaraj. Modern politicians should take lessons from Maharaj Yudhishthir about voluntary retirement from active life and should make room for the younger generation. Now, Srila Prabhupada is making a comment on the current political situation where politicians hang on to their post till their last breath. Also, retired old gentlemen should take lessons from him and leave home for spiritual realization before being forcefully dragged away to meet death. Very instructive, and Prabhupada is doing a heart surgery here, trying to tell us, what we really need to hear. So we went over the verse a couple of times already. So what are some of the main points being made by Srila Prabhupada in the purport? So he starts off by saying that Kali Yuga has begun, but it's not just begun. It's looks like only 5,000 years into Kali Yuga and 427,000 years to go. So Kali Yuga has not yet started manifesting its effects. That's not the case. Kali Yuga is like a snake, and it's trying to enter very quickly into all the areas of this planet. And it has already manifested many of its qualities already. In the 12th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, there are some very gross descriptions given of Kali Yuga, and 80% of them are already to be seen. There is much more, and I believe that Srimad Bhagavatam, this is not, I'm not saying on the basis of any reference, but just kind of putting together the mind of sort of whatever I have understood of Sri Shukadev Goswami. He probably did not want to paint a very dark picture of Kali Yuga in front of Parikshit Maharaj, who is about to leave his body. Because you see Parikshit Maharaj, how the episode sort of begins, or how Parikshit Maharaj after his birth is introduced in Srimad Bhagavatam, it will be coming up soon in the next chapter, is that he wanted to kill Kali. He knew how horrible this age is, and he wanted to get rid of it. And then he somehow just, not forgave, but spared the life of Kali and checked its influence or its growth. And Shukadev Goswami knows that, and he knows Parikshit Maharaj is so determined to check the influence of Kali. He did not want to describe all the gory details. So Srimad Bhagavatam in the 2nd and 3rd chapters describes, and this time, Parikshit Maharaj leaves the planet in chapter 6 of the 12th canto, and then the rest of it is glories of Srimad Bhagavatam. So before that, he's sharing with Parikshit Maharaj, and Parikshit Maharaj is hearing, but he did not share the more gory details of Kali Yuga to him, probably to not make him feel that bad. That's what a disgusting and horrible age this is. I went and did some digging in Bhavishya Purana, which is the only other place I know. And of course, it must be there. Such descriptions might be there in some of the other Puranas as well. But it's a pretty dark description given in the Bhavishya Purana. If there's time, I can show some of the verses from Bhavishya Purana which show what all is going to happen. So it's a pretty dark age, but 80% of the effects we are already seeing. So we can see some of those points from the 12th canto and from Bhavishya Purana. And then Srila Prabhupada is mentioning this one very interesting point here, that we have already come to know that the influence of the age of Kali is meant for godless, so-called civilized man. So we say our society is more civilized. The Britishers came to India and, with the intent, okay, we'll teach these people civilization or make them more civilized. But just by wearing an external well-stitched suit and a hat and shoes, nicely stitched, custom-stitched leather shoes. That's how shoes were made earlier, customized to the foot. not like today, size 8, 9, 10, whatever, but customized for the person. So even shoes were stitched, and everything is, looks like a perfectly well-dressed man. It's the so-called civilization. But at the core of it, it is godless. There is not even, of course, this God is not, God conscious is not there, but even just simple moral values are also absent. So that is what Srila Prabhupada is referring to as the godless so-called civilized man. Very quickly, even those civilized people, when seeing this behavior in others, will realize that this kind of civilization or civilness is disgusting, when in the heart there are so many bad qualities like greed, lies, cheating, and violence. And those are the 4 ones mentioned in this verse. When you see people are only self-centered, thinking about what they want, and are willing to speak lies and are willing to cheat you for getting their means accomplished, then everybody feels disgusted about it, but they themselves continue to do that to others. So that's the hypocrisy of Kali Yuga. And much worse is to come, Srila Prabhupada says, till we cannot imagine how it will further increase till the day of annihilation. But then those who are under the protection of Sri Krishna have nothing to fear from the age of Kali. So maybe we can go a little bit to the 12th canto, and I just want to show some of the points, how the 12th canto develops. So if you see in the 6th chapter, Parikshit Maharaj passes away. This whole thing is about he getting bit by the Takshak, who appears as a Brahmana and bites him. And then in these 2 chapters, Parikshit Maharaj had asked some questions in the beginning, and all these are answers to his questions. So he's asking, how will the Kali Yuga progress? And so these 3 chapters, 1, 2, and 3, describe the details of Kali Yuga. The first one is more like a historical enumeration or a list of many, many kings and personalities that are present in, or that are going to appear in Kali Yuga. So here we can see the names of many personalities being mentioned. Some of them you might recognize. Ajatashatru, he's a historical character. Then Chanakya Pandit, will be mentioned here. Oops, what's going on? And then, as we all know, Chanakya Pandit enthroned the Mauryas. So at that time, there was this corrupt king called King Nanda, who was ruling in Magadha. And Chandragupta Maurya, this Brahman will enthrone Chandragupta Maurya to the throne. So this is Chandragupta Maurya and his grandson, Ashoka, the great Ashoka. We talk about the Ashoka pillars all over India and even in other countries like Sri Lanka and so on. So Ashoka is mentioned here. And then there are more personalities that are mentioned. A little later, we will see that it is mentioned that I in one of the lectures I was studying long back on this Canto 12 portion, it's probably here. Yeah. It says that it talks about Kashmir, the land along the Sindhu River, as well as the districts of Chandrabhag, Kaunti, and Kashmir will be ruled by Shudras, fallen Brahmanas, and meat eaters. Having given up the path of Vedic civilization, they will have lost all spiritual strength. So it talks about Kashmir being ruled by Shudras, and then somewhere else it talks about non-Brahminical people ruling from Prayag to, Prayag to Ganga. So from his capital of Padmavati, he will rule that part of the earth extending from the source of Ganga, which is Gangotri, to Prayag. Prayag is where the Sangam is. So now an interesting part which I heard in these lectures, in some lectures, I'll just go to the advanced view. A Brahmana, a Brahma. Yeah. So here we see Praja cha a Brahma bhuishtha. And here then in 37th verse, we also see a Brahma. Malechas cha a Brahma varchasaha. So a Brahma is a Brahmana, means those who are not Brahminical in nature. But in this particular class I was listening, a Brahma can also mean those who have fallen from the Brahminical standard, etc. But Brahmanas, the point that was being made was that Brahmanas never rule, isn't it? Who rules the society? It is the Kshatriyas that rule. So what is the point of mentioning that they are Brahmanas? Yeah, Kshatriyas are also expected to have Brahminical qualities like Rajarshayo Viduhu, Evam Parampara Praptam Imam Rajarshayo Viduhu. So the Rajas, the kings, are like Rishis, Raja Rishi. They are saintly kings. That's the meaning of Raj Rishi. So yes, they have Brahminical qualities as well, but they are all Kshatriyas. So the point that was being made is that a Brahma means this is talking about a particular race or a particular class of men who are the descendants of Abraham, the Abrahamical people. And these are the people who will invade the various eastern lands from the west, coming from the west. And so that was pretty intriguing for me to see this sort of in the Sanskrit. Cha Abrahma Varchasaha. So this has been used in a couple of places in Srimad Bhagavatam as well as in the Bhavishya Purana. So that was interesting to note. All right. So that's Canto 12, Chapter 1, where all these dynasties and who will be ruling which lands, etc., is described. But some of the dark portions of Kali Yuga are coming in Chapter 2. The description of some of the darkness of Kali Yuga is described. I don't want to go into the details of it. It's kind of pretty gross. So we can scan through it. I don't want to go through it first day in the morning. Yeah. A person will be judged unholy if he has no money. Hypocrisy will be accepted as virtue. Marriage will be arranged simply by verbal agreement, and the person will think he is fit to appear in public if he has merely taken a bath. And this one is more, I would say, simpler. Yeah, that you can read it on your own. And then what it describes is how the population will degrade very quickly, and the saintly people, or the people who have some regard, will flee the cities and go to the mountains and forests, and even there they will be harassed, and they'll not be left alone. So life is going to be very tough. Now here, an interesting point that is mentioned is that the maximum duration of life for human beings in Kali Yuga will become 50 years. So as the Kali Yuga progresses, the maximum duration of life of human beings will keep on reducing. So that is, from a Shastric standpoint, is a good metric to determine how much Kali Yuga has progressed. So today it is, so when Kali Yuga began, the maximum life of a person was said to be 125 years. At the present moment, it is considered to be around 100 years. So we have seen that reduction. And the maximum duration for human beings will become 50 years. So at some point in time in Kali Yuga, it will become 50 years. So this is where the Bhagavatam kind of stops. And even though it says by the time age of Kali ends, the bodies of all creatures or people will be, everybody, including humans, will be reduced in size. The religious principles of the followers of Varnashram will be ruined, and many things will happen. But this is showing that it's only talking about the progress of Kali to a certain point. Because in the Bhavishya Puran, and I can probably show that, where is that? Yeah, let me show a few excerpts from Bhavishya Puran, which I was able to dig out. It's in Hindi and Sanskrit, so you can give me forgive me for that. But here it says that this is talking about the end of Kali Yuga, or the last portion. Kali Yuga is divided into 4 sargas, or that the age will be 20 years. हाँ, ये देखिए, कली के चौथे चरण. So it is divided into charanas, or phases. So fourth charan, that's the last one. कली के चौथे चरण के प्रारंभ में मनुष्यों की 20 वर्ष की आयु होगी. Here we see this in the Sanskrit verse. Vimshad vyakaskascha marishyanti cha narakaha yatha jala manusyashra yathaiva vanaja naraha. And they will live in the forests and so on. Ve nagariya मनुष्य और वनज मनुष्यों की भांति कंदमूल का आहार करेंगे. And then it says that उस समय तामिश्र आदि नरक कुंडों की पूर्ति वेद कर्मभूमि के निवासी मनुष्यों द्वारा होगी. That narkas will become full of people. And then it goes on to say later that Yamraj will say, Narka is full. I have no more space in Narka. Please do something about it. It's like, in COVID, the hospitals were full, and then they were not even taking more patients. So Yamraj will come and say, Narka is full and I cannot have any more people. But there are so many people still there, and they are all going to come. They are all destined for Narka. What to do? Please come up with some solution. So Yamraj goes to Lord Brahma, and Brahmaji, again, as just like in the 10th canto, he goes to the Kshir Sagar and prays to Bhagavan Vishnu, and then the appearance of Kalki Avatar takes place. So coming back to the Srimad Bhagavatam here, the 17th verse. So all this, after this gross description of Kali Yuga, and just very horrible things are mentioned here, which are not suitable to discuss. Then Lord Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the spiritual master of all living or moving and non-moving living beings, and the Supreme Soul of all, takes birth. So this is the advent of Kalki Bhagavan, and that's what it says. Lord Kalki will appear in the home of the most eminent Brahmana of Shambhala village. So Bhagavan Kalki will appear. He will annihilate all the godless people and re-establish Satyuga. And that is all mentioned here. So this whole chapter then goes on to describe how the Satyuga will progress. After 1000 celestial years of Kali Yuga, the Satyuga will manifest again. And then chapter 3 of the 12th canto, it's called the Bhumi Gita. So it's you can see the sort of the soliloquy of Bhumi Devi, that how she's kind of mocking that all these kings. It's just showing, really, it's a very wonderful thing to read. It has 53 verses or 52 verses, and how she's saying that all these kings who appear in Kali Yuga, they think they can rule me, but they are so wrong, and ultimately they die, and they think they will be able to have permanent control over me, but they cannot have permanent control over me ever. So it's a very deep contemplation on how tiny and how minute our lifetime is, and we are trying to accomplish all these wonderful things, and we'll just remain histories. So that's how this third chapter ends, where I think before these two famous verses, 51 and 52, only their history will remain. Something like that was there. Anyway, yeah, it was very... Yeah. Oh, 9th verse. All these kings, Hiranyakashipu, Ravana, etc. O Almighty Lord, although they lived their lives intensely trying to possess me, this is Bhumi Devi speaking, trying to possess Bhumi Devi, these kings were subject to the passage of time, which reduced them all to mere historical accounts. None of them could permanently establish their rule. So I felt this was a very deep statement being made, that and of course we are not trying to rule Bhumi Devi, but we are trying to rule our little small kingdoms that we have created, whether it's our little circle around us whom we are trying to boss over, or whoever, whatever things we are trying to lord over, and we think we are the little lords. The big ones like Hiranyakashipu and Ravan were big lords, wanted to rule over bigger portions, but we are just smaller versions of that. And we'll all be annihilated by the force of time and be reduced to mere historical accounts. And we won't even have a historical account. At least Hiranyakashipu has a pretty strong historical account. As long as Srimad Bhagavatam will live, the name of Hiranyakashipu will also live. But we won't even have that. So it is so insignificant. And then this ends with the glorification of Kirtan. And that's where I will also end. That even though, so all the faults of Kali Yuga are being described by Bhumi Devi, but then at the end it says, Kaler dosha nidhe rajan astihi eko mahan gunaha kirtanat eva krishnasya mukta sangaha param praji. That even though that Kali Yuga is an ocean of faults, and there is still one good quality, one great quality, mahan guna, that just by doing kirtanat eva krishnasya, just by doing only by doing kirtan of Sri Krishna, one can get all victory. Mukta Sangha, one can get free from the clutches, this Adharma Chakra, which was discussed in this verse today. We saw Adharma Chakra here. This web of Adharma, one can get free from that, and Param Vrajet, one can go to the highest destination. And then the next verse also is very famous. Krite tadhyayate Vishnum, Tretayam yajato makhaihi dvapare paricharyayam kalau tadhari kirtana. That whatever was obtained in Krita Yuga or Satyug by meditating on Bhagavan Vishnu, Dhyayato Vishnum, and in Tretayam yajato makhaihi, by doing elaborate sacrifices, Dvapare paricharyayam, and in Dwapar Yuga by doing deity worship. That same thing that same will end result can be achieved, which is that Param Vrajet, simply by doing Hari Kirtana in Kali Yuga. So this is a quality of Kali Yuga, that Kali Yuga makes it available to us fallen, so-called civilized but godless people. It makes available this wonderful result simply by the process of Hari Kirtan. So therefore, in Kali Yuga, the one thing that we must do, it is the Yuga Dharma of Kali Yuga, is Hari Kirtan. Kirtan must go on. Kirtan should never stop under any circumstance. Everyone, it is the duty. Yuga Dharma means it's the duty. It's not a suggestion. It's not a recommendation. It's the duty. It's what you should do. It's like a injunction. And this is an injunction not of Varnashrama. It's an injunction of bhakti. And it's the most important learning of Srimad Bhagavatam. So that's where I would like to end today's discussion. Thank you very much for giving me a chance to think about these topics from Srimad Bhagavatam. There is no better use of time than to study Srimad Bhagavatam and then do a little bit kirtan of Srimad Bhagavatam. So thank you for giving me an opportunity to do this. I'm very, very grateful. Granthraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you for the nice journey into this pastime and into the 12th canto. There's time for devotees to ask questions or share realization, appreciation. Thank you.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Thank you very much for explaining this verse so nicely. Really appreciate how you started explaining each word by word slowly and clearly. I mean, it took a deeper understanding of the word, especially the word Parisharpanam, right? Was especially nice. And the Gamanaya and Paryadat. I mean, those three words personally, I felt like you explained detailed, and how the snake is moving slowly from one place to another place, like can be city, state, or in fact the mines. That is very nice, Prabhu. And the 12th canto explanation is also very nice. Thank you for giving a deeper understanding on this verse, Prabhu. Thank you. Appreciate your time and giving lecture on this verse. Thank you.
I also felt that Parisarpanam and how Bhagavatam has chosen every word so beautifully. If we think of those words and the meanings behind it, then we can kind of imagine or visualize that whole how Kali Yuga is trying to enter into. You leave a little hole open and a snake enters. So it's not like a big tiger or a wolf, you have to leave your full door open. You leave a small gap and it will enter. That's the meaning. It really hits hard how Kali Yuga is entering all areas of our life, including our mind. Yeah, so Srimad Bhagavatam, if we meditate at a word level and little bit stop, pause, and go think about it and read commentaries, so much more opens up. I was also very happy to see the choice of words of the Srimad Bhagavatam.
Yeah, Prabhu. Can I ask one question, Prabhu?
Yeah, please, if I am able to answer, I will.
Sure. So, I mean, if we compare Maharaj Yudhishthira, with this current time period, right, our own lives, so obviously prepare for departure is not applicable for us. I mean, only thing is taking shelter of Bhagwan is the only, way for us. But balancing our own material world or like job or personal life, that how can we take that prepare for departure or dressed accordingly? I mean, applying for this modern world or
Yeah, I'm the wrong person to ask because
no.
I
So
have also, I'm so much entangled in this adharma chakra. Were you saying something?
no. So what I mean to say is, if you go back, right, like I believe yesterday I was listening to your Bhagavad Gita chapter 18. So 25 years back, you explained that 25 years back we don't have these cell phones. Probably 40 years back we don't have this TVs, or 50 years back we don't have the technologies keep on coming. The amount of distractions are increasing. So the more the technology, the more the distractions, right? So balancing that or moving away from the distractions and moving towards Krishna or turning towards Krishna.
Well,
Hope
okay. Distractions have never been less. People were godless 50 years ago. They are more godless now, but that's not much because of the the technology that is enabling the distractions. The mind is chanchalam hi manah Krishna. So yes, mind can get more easier ways. It can get faster and faster cars to drive more fast on a smoother and smoother roads. True. But the avenues for the mind to wander away were always there. But in any case, to your initial question, my understanding, and I would invite other devotees to share, is that we must fix our mind on Sri Krishna. And while we are in the material world, we can utilize the resources for our benefit, and any luxuries that may exist. We can also, if you have a nice car, nice house, it's okay, but we should not invest our mind in relishing it. Our relishment should come from Krishna Kirtan and Krishna Shravan. So that is where our relishment should come from, not from these worldly things. For a poor man, and when I say poor, I mean for whatever, whether it is self assumed poverty or it is forced, renunciation. Let's put it that way: forced renunciation or self-assumed renunciation. Whichever way it is, then it's like you are in that situation. You don't have the means, and your mind, then you have to see where to distract or where to invest your mind. But while we are not renounced, we are surrounded by these things. We should try our best to force our investment of the mind in Krishna Shravan and Krishna Kirtan. And while these things are present, yes, utilize them, but not relish them. Relish means to invest our mind in them. Oh, my house is so nice. It has nice temperature control, nice bed. Let me sleep on it 1 more hour. This is such a nice. We begin to relish those things. Those are simply meant for utilizing so that we can invest actually our mind. The actual investment of the mind should be in Shravan and Kirtan. So that is my take. And yes, whatever we need to do for livelihood in these present circumstances, as I understand, Krishna did not, or Maya Devi did not mean for life to be so hard that one has to work 10, 12, 13 hours to just simply maintain a livelihood. That was not the case many years ago. Somehow things have somewhere gone in a direction where there is so much hard work needed to accomplish the same small things. So in spite of all those things, we should continue to do that, whether it is 8 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours, whatever, of hard work to maintain the livelihood. But that should simply be done. One should not take, again, relishment in it. That after retirement, I'll continue to do something in this direction only. One should be eager to give up those things and know every moment. One should be clear that I'm only doing this for my livelihood. When will I be able to renounce this? Once my livelihood is set. Once there are some others able, like Srila Prabhupada said in the purport, as something like young fellows, as long as, or as soon as, not as long as soon as they come, one should retire. So when will that situation come when I can actually fully retire? One should really long for that and be ready to give up the current situation as soon as possible, as soon as the circumstances allow, and go full time into Krishna Bhajan and Krishna Kirtan. So that should be the mood. Till then, stay engaged, do the best, but don't relish those things. The only relishment, which means that the investment of the mind comes where there is relishment. So the relishment should come from Krishna Shravana and Krishna Kirtan, and therefore the investment of mind should only be there. So as long as that is happening, I feel that it's a better situation than getting distracted into useless things, which means that the mind is invested over there.
Sure. Thank you for giving the detailed explanation. Hopefully I'll follow that in my life. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Prabhu. Sorry, Prabhu. Yeah, thank you so much for the wonderful class and also for the wonderful answer that you gave. Very, very enlightening. And also the take on the Brahma word from Bhagavatam was just mind-blowing. Thank you for going so much in detail, taking verses from Bhavishya Puran and explaining how worse Kali Yuga is going to get. But yeah, thank you so much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji.
Okay, so, Paramakaruna Prabhu, anything else you want to share?
No, Prabhuji, please.
You want to summarize your me? I liked the question and answer that the discussion you and Vitakdamada Prabhu stated. I mean, even in our own tiny little lives, we can kind of see, like you were mentioning, distractions occurring on, little small scale violence in our own lives, just as a symbol of what's going on in the grand scheme of time. It's scary. And so I think, the idea that I'm understanding from your lecture and Srila Prabhupada's writings is that external detachment must be accompanied by internal attachment to something that's fixed, regardless of time, place, kal, desh, patra. So thank you for exploring that and being sensitive to the descriptions of Kali Yuga. I remember when Indradumna Maharaj came in, I think it was 2004, to our fledgling little temple and talked about it. And it was, tough to hear, but one has to hear it in order to understand what is the goal of life. So thank you for exploring that nicely in the word by word translations, relishing, the actual usage of sound in the Bhagavatam is so powerful. So should we go ahead and end today's session?
Sure.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, dear devotees, for joining. And then today we'll have Sunday feast. Please come join to the temple, or if you can't, listen on YouTube. Vanchakalpatarvyacha, Patithanam Pavanabhyo, Shmeyo Namayo. His Grace Paramakaruna Prabhu ki jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Or Premanandi Hari Hari Bol. Thank you.